VGK brings back misfit Reilly Smith to Las Vegas for Brendan Brisson in a deal with the New York Rangers after the Broadway Blues kept Smith out of the lineup for the past 3 games. Was the deal the first of many for VGK at the 11th hour as the deadline looms at 12 o'clock noon today, Vegas time? More next, right here on Locked On Golden Knights.
You're Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, hi again, everyone. WTF, Tony Cardasco, longtime sportscaster and marketing consultant, along with Chris Golick, collectibles editor for the Hockey News and owner of Silver State Cards and Sports. Coming up ahead on today's show, a preview of VGK Pittsburgh and WTF. We are brought to you today by FanDuel. Go to FanDuel.com, America's #1 sportsbook. Reilly Smith is returning home to Las Vegas, and VGK fans could not be more happier. Again, a very popular player. He is one that hoisted the Stanley Cup here, was big in the community. Smith was with Pittsburgh, and of late, the Rangers. I can guarantee that VGK was not on Smith's 8-team no-trade list.
No, it was Canada, basically, that was on Reilly Smith's no-trade list. That's what I heard somewhere in the tea leaves yesterday, Tony. There you go. Listen,
WTF.
There you go. We got it early. It's a good deal. It's a good situation. He's a plug-and-play depth piece that can go anywhere in the lineup. And speaking of anywhere in the lineup, Cassidy anticipates him to play today, barring anything strange happening per what he was saying yesterday. I honestly would love to see Reilly Smith slot in Tanner Pearson's spot right in the top line tonight.
Well,
and see what happens. I mean, that's not the long-term place for him, especially once William Karlsson comes back. But for now, that's the safest place for him. He's got to get reacclimated to Vegas and the system and his teammates and everything. Put him out there like Eichel and Stone. He'll be okay, I promise.
Yeah, well, this is what we discussed earlier this week about that spot on the top line. And it's been a revolving door, and perhaps Reilly Smith could bring some consistency. The word on the street, so he does still have his house here. They rented it out, however. So I don't know what his living quarters, his situation is.
They rent to Brisson by any chance?
Oh, that's really tough. Is this going to be Reilly Smith's last go-round? 14 years in the league, 33 years old, an expiring contract.
Like retiring?
Does at the end of the season, what becomes of Reilly Smith?
I mean, I don't know his personal situation, right? You know, at some point, people just decide they're going to hang it up, whether they're 34 years old, 39 years old, or in Jaromir Jagr's case, never. So it depends on what he wants to do personally. Looking at his stats, he is still a key contributor in the National Hockey League. 58 games, 29 points with the Rangers this season, pacing for somewhere right around 40 points, which is what he had last year on a terrible Pittsburgh Penguins team where he played 76 games. His time in Vegas, 78 games, 56 points. That was the Stanley Cup year. The shortened season the year before, 38 points in 56 games. Season high 60 points with the Golden Knights in 17-18. So Reilly Smith can play another probably 3, 4, 5 years if he wants to put his body through that. And of course, if his personal situation, if he wants to do that, he'll have a place. He's a two-way forward. He's the type of player that at this stage of his career, he might be moving around a lot. He's on the last year of his, it was a 4x5, I think he signed with the Golden Knights. However, the Golden Knights, I think, are only on the hook for
the Rangers retain 50% of his salary.
50% and on the books for 1.875 as far as the salary cap is concerned, which also means Kelly McCrimmon still has, when factoring the LTIR funds. And again, right now the LTIR is William Karlsson, not Shea Theodore. It's about $6.8 million. So Crimson's got 6 hours to do some shopping. We'll see if that happens or not.
Is there another deal brewing? That's the biggest question right now.
I maintain, I was on with Ken Thompson yesterday talking about this on the radio. I maintain that there's not a world that exists where Kelly McCrimmon cruises into the trade deadline and past the deadline with $6 million in available funds. I know McCrimmon is a believer in sometimes the best trades are the trades that you don't make, and that's a fair statement for any general manager to make. You're not just going to make a deal to make a deal, but this is a different spot for Kelly and the Golden Knights. They've been looking for other teams to take on salary cap space and looking for teams to retain when deals get made. The Golden Knights are in that unique spot where they can take on a player with a bigger contract without having to have the other team retain. Sometimes teams are just looking to get rid of a player right now. Sometimes teams are just looking to shed a player who might have 3 years left on a deal that maybe isn't that good. Golden Knights take a chance on a $5 million player that might have a year or two left on their contract and see what comes. I mean, I think it's a good sellout situation right now, especially with a rising salary cap.
Yeah, I was checking last night. Did you know that the Buffalo Sabres have 10 players with expiring contracts? So there still could be something happening with Buffalo this weekend.
Sounds like another Buffalo, another excellent grade A job by their general manager in Buffalo, doing great things up there.
They're doing terrific things there. And when we talk about Reilly Smith, he does have the familiarity with Cassidy's system, so he could be a go on Friday night.
Plug and play,
as you say. 10 goals, 19 assists. You mentioned that. 58 games with the Rangers. Do you remember? So we've definitely followed Reilly and his progress and his career after VGK. He was on the top line, remember? With Mika and Chris Kreider to start the season, and that just did not work. That didn't work at all. So can't blame him for that. And the Rangers really
sometimes
sucked at the beginning.
Sometimes things just don't work for players in other situations. And obviously 1 year with Pittsburgh and gone, so things didn't work well there. And some of this I'm sure is on Reilly Smith, right? I mean, he's an aging vet right now. Things certainly change and getting out of that system. Reilly Smith didn't want to leave Vegas. That was clear as day, obviously.
Still has his house here. Still has the house.
Yeah, no, he signed a nice extension. And, the goal is to stay when you sign a deal like that. And Reilly Smith has been amazing in the community. And you just wonder, are him and Jack Eichel going to have issues with the softball game this summer, right? The torch has been passed from Smith to Jack Eichel. Are they going to do a little Rochambeau, maybe? Whoever, I don't know.
You tweeted something, and I didn't see it until later, but we were on the same page as far as who's going to captain this softball team now. And, VGK signed him to extension as soon as he gets into the line. He's not going to be here with VGK next season, will he?
Why not?
Okay, just curious.
What can he possibly command in his next deal? 3 times 3?
Potentially, yeah. And
the Golden Knights window is still 2 or 3 more years. Why would you not want Reilly Smith around for 2 or 3 more years, especially if it's a 3 times 3 type of deal?
We have to see if what his skills are still like. I have not watched him a ton.
Look at the stat line. He's a 38 to 42 point player who can play anywhere on the top 3 forward lines and kill penalties and be a great 2-way player.
Eventually, do they still need to fill that void on the wing, on the top line? And does Reilly Smith play with his good old buddy, Karlsson?
Second question. First, Karlsson and Reilly Smith do make a lot of sense together. Who else goes on that wing? I mean, you got a multitude of players where this can end up going. Kolasar would obviously be an option. You knock Dorofeev down. Pearson has earned those looks. It could be, you look at what's working right now, and right now what's working is Howden, Barbashev, and Kolasar. And then the Hurdle Dorofeev Sod line is also working. Not that the Eichel and Stone line isn't working, but you're simply going to build it from your strength and everything. So maybe Karlsson will be on the wing on the top line when he comes back, Tony. Maybe that's what we don't know. But I think you mentioned, do the Golden Knights need to address anything else as far as depth? Yeah, a defenseman could be in play still. Shea Theodore, of course, being out is a terrible blow right now. Credit Tanner Pearson for picking up that slack, which it seemed like he would based on a lot of indicators. So good on Good on Noah. Did I say Tanner Pearson? No, good on
Yeah,
Noah
you did say
Hannafin.
Pearson.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Tanner
I just
Pearson,
let you
quarterback
go.
one power play. Good on Noah Hannafin for picking up that slack. So there could be a depth piece type of deal for a defenseman, like not that Teddy Bluger was a defenseman or anything like that, but that type of player on the
Defensive
defensive side.
forward. Yeah.
That said, they could still use a lethal, proven goal scorer that can put up 25, 30 goals in the season, that difference maker. I still think, and again, Dorofeev is a great player. I don't know if Dorofeev can be trusted in the Jonathan Marchessault, Conn Smythe ceiling type of position when the playoffs come.
And then Reilly Smith as well, probably potentially used on the PK. I think is another thing that he brings to the table.
Putting Nick Waugh and Reilly Smith at PK2 is amazing.
Yeah, for sure. So the Rangers, we did not get to this part yet, but they do acquire Brendan Brisson. And, again, earlier this week, I said this is a piece that is definitely gone at the trade deadline. I also said Ben Hutton and think that might come on Friday. But
Not what they
Brisson,
trade our defenseman.
so Brisson is sent to Hartford, the AHL franchise for the New York Rangers. And I said that VGK had to get rid of him by the deadline just for his own well-being. Okay, they gave up on this guy. Now just get rid of him and let him go and potentially start his career with another organization. Change of scenery will also benefit him, I have to believe. And so they send him to the Rangers along with a 2025 third-round pick. And that was quickly flipped by the Rangers with Vancouver as they pick up Carson Searcy. So the Rangers make a decent deal. I think it'll work out for both sides, for both teams. And I think the change of scenery is definitely going to help Brisson. And I didn't give up on the guy. I know the organization did. I think you might have, but I still think he's got potential and an upside. That's me.
Brisson had every opportunity coming into this season, and he checked a lot of boxes in the offensive third of the ice. I thought he did a good job getting to the dirty areas. I thought in the preseason, even a little bit in the regular season, I liked his play on the offensive side of the ice, specifically between the faceoff circles, not taking faceoffs, but in that, slot area and things like that. I think he's learned where you need to go to score goals in the National Hockey League. His defensive game, I remember a couple things I pointed out in the preseason, just goals directly on him because he's not back checking, not covering the trail, not covering a defender coming in late to the play, all sorts of things. So Brisson's question, and again, we are still talking. We're talking a 23-year-old right now. We're talking a 23-year-old.
Absolutely.
And
He'll
you need to
fine.
see. No, I'm going to go the opposite way. I think you needed to see a little bit more from him. We joke about all the rookie camps he went through and all the training camps he went through and the opportunities he had. And I think what got me, I wish I could credit you, but I can't. I don't know who it was. Someone said they read a Silver Knights game recently, and Brisson was on the second power play unit. Second power play unit in the American League when people were slotting him to come in and score 15, 18 goals for the Golden Knights and possibly be on the elbow on the power play. He's got that good of a shot, but unfortunately, rest of his game.
In fairness, though, they moved him around everywhere.
There's no fairness, Tony. I think his work ethic is coming into question a lot.
I'm going to have him working out with Rempe all summer.
Listen, he's going with the Rangers. He's going to go to the Hartford Wolfpack. Maybe he'll get things figured out there in the American League. But again, we're talking a player with 2023-24 in Henderson, 38 points, 19 and 19. 22-23 with the Silver Knights, 58 games, 18 and 19. So nearly 40 points, 78% of his games. Now we're talking a player with 45 games, 5 goals, 14 assists, and a minus 24. So they gave up on him for the right reason. And, Brisson, I thought coming into the season had every opportunity. He had, I think, the first 7 or 8 games to show he could be a National Hockey League player. And for lack of a better term, he failed. I don't think the Golden Knights failed Brendan Brisson.
Coming up next, a preview of VGK Pittsburgh. Yes, there is a game to be played. Garlic hates it that they're playing a game on trade deadline day. We'll get into that preview next right here on Locked On Golden Knights. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on it than at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game. So even if you miss the opening tip off and you want to be on a fourth quarter comeback, like the Lakers did against my Knicks last night. Not going to talk about that. You can stay in the action for sure. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay. I definitely love FanDuel's live betting feature. Why? Because it does keep every moment of the game exciting. Whether I'm backing my team for a late game rally or picking up a player to hit a clutch three, I never feel like I missed my chance. Plus, the app is so easy to use. You know, after you win, you get paid immediately by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit fanduel.com and you can join today. That's fanduel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the association. Welcome back on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick from Las Vegas. Thanks for making us, not me, that was me for like a moment there, a little soliloquy. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. Find us wherever you get your podcast. Please make sure to subscribe to our Locked On Golden Knights YouTube channel. So the Pittsburgh Penguins, the question coming into the game against VGK is, who will be dressed for this game for the Pens? No telling who will be on the ice. A couple of trades yesterday. They sent Michael Bunting to the Preds and defenseman Vincent Descharnais to the Sharks, and they picked up defenseman in return Luke Schenn and forward Tommy Novak from Nashville, as well as a 2028 draft pick from the Sharks. So could Erik Karlsson be gone by the end of the day? Also, Rickard Rakell. Remember that guy that gave up a couple of Karlsson-like goals there? William Karlsson, I'm talking about, there in that one game, as he replaced him there for Team Sweden. In any event, the Pens, a last place team in the Metro, as they come into Las Vegas for this meeting. But this is a team in disarray and not sure again who even plays for Pittsburgh, because they're probably going to make another deal, possibly, potentially two, by the trade deadline later today.
What I want to know is how the hell Cody Glass got a contract that involves a $2.5 million AAV, but good on. I
Just
mean,
because you gave up on the guy, you know.
The Golden Knights find a way to get Nicholas Waugh for a $3 million AAV, and the Penguins got Cody Glass at 2.5. So that certainly tells you a lot of what you need to know about what's happening in Pittsburgh. I mean, Brian Rust getting $5 million, Rakell's getting $5 million, Kevin Hayes $3 million, Novak 3.5, Cody Glass 2.5. They got Erik Karlsson locked up for $10 million. Chris Letang is 37, and he still has three seasons left at a $6.1 million AAV deal. I don't know what Kyle Dubas, right? I don't know what they are doing in Pittsburgh right now, but you said Erik Karlsson, so we'll start there. I mean, he's got a $10 million cap hit. Who's going to take that on right now? And he'll be 37 when his contract expires, 36 or 37 when that contract expires. I'm not saying Karlsson's not a good player, but that's a lot of cheddar for basically a fourth forward on your lineup, because he doesn't play a lot of defense. Rakell is an interesting situation, 31 years old, under a $5 million AAV deal until the end of the 27-28 season. That doesn't necessarily fit Kelly McCrimmon's mold if we're going to compare that to the Jonathan Marchessault situation, but a trade deadline can also change the way you approach these types of things. So have to wait and see if Rakell is in play. Listed as a center. Got to think Karlsson might be making a comeback this season. And if that's the case, I think the Golden Knights are going to be more or less in on a winger at this point, because once Karlsson comes back, you've got a logjam of centers, which I know Cassidy likes that, but the reality is five or six is a good place to pump the brakes on your centers.
And when you look at this team, our fans will definitely go to this game tonight for a couple of reasons. They might go to watch Sidney Crosby.
What's the second reason?
Reilly Smith in the lineup.
What was the first reason?
Sidney Crosby, right?
Oh, okay. I thought you had some more creative coming than that, but
no. Yeah. Oh, number three. Hang on, we do have a latecomer here. Nedeljkovic, Alex Nedeljkovic, maybe will have another meltdown. Remember, he was pulled in the Flyers game last week. Okay, latecomer. This is a better one. That. Remember, he trailed 3-0, and he leaves the ice, and he's smashing his stick, and he slams the door, and he's yelling at the coaches. I want to see that more than
I'm sure that's a great
Sidney Crosby or Reilly Smith live.
I'm sure that's a great way to end things. I'll be at the game tonight. I'm excited for this one.
You're going?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean Sidney Crosby. That's worth making the trip to T-Mobile for, and it's a weekend game, a little bit easier, obviously, to get out there versus weeknight games and stuff like that. So, me and Chris will be there. Once I told him Reilly Smith was brought back, he was super excited for that. And like I said, I envision wherever Smith plays, he's going to be in the starting lineup tonight, and that crowd is just going to go. It'll be one of the loudest ovations probably the loudest ovation of the entire season when they call Reilly Smith's name.
You think he'll be in action? You think he'll be in action?
I think I'm going off what Cassidy said. Cassidy thinks he thinks he's gonna play. Why wouldn't he? I mean,
well, and again, like remember, the Rangers did scratch him 3 consecutive games, and I'm sure that VGK knew he was coming here, so he might have been here for a couple of days.
He'd been here before the trade happened.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they kept scratching him, dude.
I mean, looking at Pittsburgh right now, just getting back to the game for just a quick second here, not going to spend too much more time on it, but 3 losses in a row for Pittsburgh, Boston, Toronto. They started a road trip against Colorado on the 4th. So they've been in Vegas for a couple of days, just kind of watching things right now. Again, led in 4 goals, led in 6 goals, led in 3 goals, led in 4. I mean, over might be a play here, but it could be a 5-1 game where you wind up getting hosed on the hook there because they got 6.5 out there. I think the Golden Knights I saw -230, -260, -260, 6.5. I guess the question, Adin Hill or Samsonov? I hope it's Adin Hill. I hope it's Adin Hill also on Sunday. I hope Adin Hill is going 3 out of every 4 games right now. Back-to-back scenarios, obviously, pending on that. And that's another conversation. I mean, we'll see what McCrimmon does. There's a lot of chatter about Samsonov in the backup goalie position. In column A, Samsonov of the last, 20 games for the Golden Knights, whatever the number is right now, probably plays between 3 to 5 of them at this point, maybe 5 or 6, and doesn't get any reps in the playoffs unless there's injury. Are the Golden Knights comfortable turning the keys to the car to Samsonov if need be? And the answer is heck no. It's a dramatic heck no. So this goes back to, I think, the Golden Knights when they traded away Subban, and they were doing some shopping for backup goaltenders. Robin Leonard, right? Wasn't Subban the backup to Fleury? And then the comment from McCrimmon was they weren't comfortable going into the playoffs in that scenario. Samsonov, obviously a little better than Subban, of course, but that said, I don't think anyone's comfortable if the keys to the car need to go to Samsonov at this stage of the season.
Well, and did VGK perhaps give up on Akira Schmid? Remember, he was the future. Remember,
he was, and I mean, it's so tough to evaluate the goaltending position in Henderson because the Silver Knights are bad. I mean, and I'm not knocking them. Just the reality is they're bad. They don't play defense, and it's been that way. Really, the only real good Silver Knights team was the very first one that the COVID situation screwed up, and they did like an interdivisional championship thing, which was actually decent. But at the end of the day, it just, that was their only chance at a team that could have maybe made a run in the Calder Cup playoffs. Since then, that team has been borderline abysmal. As far as goalies, I think, why am I drawing a blank? Let me sort that guy.
Okay.
Why am I not seeing the other goalies, the main goalie on this, who's been playing really well for them on Hockey DB? You get hurt?
Not sure. Okay, we'll get to that in WTF.
Yeah, I'll start WTF early. You go right ahead.
Okay, we'll take a break. We'll be back with more and WTF. What the Friday comes your way next. on Locked On Golden Knights. Welcome back on Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco and a confused Chris Golick.
I was on the 22-23 Silver Knights roster.
We appreciate you making us your first listen each and every day. Find us wherever you get your podcast. Please make sure to subscribe to our Locked On Golden Knights YouTube channel.
Carl Lindbaum, that's
the Lindbaum. That's the future goalie. Now, yeah, they gave up on Akira, so trade him.
Schmidt 717, 885 save percentage. Lindbaum 25 games, Schmidt 26 games. Lindbaum 915 save percentage. That's all I need to tell you. 915 save percentage. So that's your future VGK goalie in the next 2 to 3 seasons.
Okay. It's time for WTF.
I already started.
I'm going to go back to the not a trip game. Jack Hughes shoulder surgery this week. Sad to end his season. And it is the second straight year that he ends it up there going into the wall there.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for your crappy angle on this. Go ahead.
No, it was not a trip. I can assure you that, WTF. The part that really gets to me is that the head coach, Sheldon Keefe, who is absolutely pissed that his player got tripped and sent into the wall.
It wasn't a trip.
Fined $25,000. I would have been just as mad. I would have been piping mad. $25K. Come on, bro.
You got to say something that crosses a lot of lines to get a fine.
Unprofessional conduct, they said. No, he's yelling, that is a stinking trip, you blankety blanks.
Oh, you blankety blanks. Okay, there you go.
WTF. There was one that came across yesterday, and it was about, it was our guy, Gary Adrian. WTF, bye-bye Brisson, finally. Next, Hutton, right, Tony? Yeah, absolutely. Ben Hutton, I said, would be gone by this trade deadline, WTF.
We had some foreshadowing by Donnie Brook, 5671. This came in 21 hours ago, so this is hours before the Smith deal happens. Bring Reilly back, lower cap at 3.75. It's even lower than that. Would be welcomed by teammates as long as the Rangers aren't asking for too much in return. They got Brendan Brisson. That's a good deal for Vegas. Fans would be happy too and might even accept a friendly deal to end his career here. Toronto and Florida could also be getting in on Reilly. So Donnie Brook, good job, good foreshadowing. Speaking of foreshadowing, Brendan Brisson also foreshadowed this. So Brendan Brisson famously changed his number to number 19, called Reilly Smith, I guess, beforehand, said, hey, bro, can I borrow your number? Whatever. And Reilly Smith's like, yeah. I think Reilly Smith and Brendan Brisson both knew it was going to happen. So Brisson gets shipped out, and this just makes it so much easier for the name change or the number change for number 19. I mean, all they got to do is like put masking tape or, something over the locker room stall and just write Reilly Smith's name on there because the 19 is already there. So I think Reilly Smith Brendan Brisson knew this day was coming. That's why he went with number 19 to make it much easier on the transition for Reilly Smith to come back. WTF.
WTF. So is Reilly Smith staying with a host family today here in Vegas? WTF.
At Red Rock, the Red Rock family.
WTF. John Price, is this a big move to bring back Reilly Smith that we all imagined for 6.5 months? Or does Mad Hatter, he called him Mad Hatter. I like that. Kelly McCrimmon still have a trick or two up his sleeve? WTF. I like that. That's a pretty good one. Well done. WTF. I said on Monday that VGK will take back Reilly Smith. I said on Monday, bro. Come on, man. WTF. A little bit of credit. WTF. T.A. Nyman. My WTF comment is regarding the poll. What poll? The poll that the intern put up? Where was the option that says WTF? Why did it take them this long? I'm telling you, what was the poll? Okay, for tomorrow's WTF show, WTF Reilly Smith, and the two options were WTF, why bring him back, and WTF fills top line void. Intern's gone wild, bro. Intern. WTF.
I think the tweet's gone wild. A quick WTF, I'll jump in here. So with all the trade chatter and everything, You have the Brock Nelson deal that happened with Colorado. Big deal for Colorado. That's certainly going to give them a shot to. I mean, Colorado shipping out Mika Rantanen might have been a blessing because obviously Rantanen is not working out in Carolina. And per Elliot Friedman, the framework of a deal is in place. I think it involves Stan Coven and draft picks from Dallas
Wait, but
to
there
get
was
Mika Rantanen to the Dallas Stars.
no, but then
This all started breaking last night
no,
about 11 o'clock.
But then Darren Drager said there's no deal between Dallas and Carolina for Rantanen. It appears Carolina might have to go back to the drawing board. Doesn't mean that a deal or extension with Dallas cannot materialize.
I think
Rantanen,
the issue is the extension.
Yeah, and
Dallas doesn't want Rantanen unless there's an extension in place because they're giving up a portion of their future, especially in Logan Stankoven. But where I'm going with this is you have all these deals taking place, these potential deals taking place. The West is getting stronger and stronger. There is not a world that exists where, assuming with this Rantanen Stars deal does come to fruition, it may or may not, there's going to be other big deals that come to fruition. McCrimmon will have to respond. Whether McCrimmon originally anticipated not being really active or not, he might have been telling the truth in his mind at least. But reactionary trades do need to be made when all these other teams are making these deals and such. And I think the deal that's brewing is one that no one sees coming. No one sees coming. Tomas Hertl, no one even knew he was on the block. That trade quietly was being discussed for about 48 hours before it came together. There could be something that no one sees coming, whether it involves a high-level defenseman, a high-level scoring winger.
I smell Buffalo.
A couple more depth pieces.
I'm smelling Buffalo, bro. I just, some reason. Okay.
Buffalo has a history of making absolutely terrible trades. You got two players like Alex Tuck and John Jason Peterka. Someone point out a stat that I think in 5-on-5 play, the only player who has outscored JJ Peterka in the last 40 games is Nikita Kucherov or something like that.
Jeez Louise.
So,
and you wanted him. He's gone though now.
It would fit the mold for Buffalo to trade him for something that makes no sense. And it would fit the mold for Kelly McCrimmon to be that GM that's there to take advantage of the bad decisions that the Sabres love to make.
Okay. And if you're looking for good value, I would shop around today and take Dallas. They were plus 850 somewhere because the Rantanen deal is probably going to happen, I would have to imagine.
Can Pete DeBoer win the big game? And E-Runs. Hold on. E-Runs had the absolute gem here. This is surprised. Is like a tweet of the year scenario.
All right. So WTF too, before we get to that, WTF, I was waiting for the late night news dump, and WTF, whatever happened to VGK has no salary cap. Because suddenly they're starting to pay attention. WTF.
So, all right, Eric Rabbers, he quote tweets the Rantanen situation with the Dallas Stars, and Rabbers says, "Whatever, DeBoer could have the 76 Canadians roster and still not win the big one." So I'll end it with that. WTF, he runs. Let me know when you come back to Vegas. Need some Chicago food.
Yeah, and you could be the host family for him too, and Reilly Smith and all that. And one other thing too. We projected that Brett Howden would return to his previous form. We said that he would definitely be back, right, and get into the scoring action and all that. So he's got a new life there with that line now.
I think if we're going to keep patting ourselves on the back here, because I know our Twitter followers love this. When we did our show about the final third of the season, Unsung Heroes, I could be wrong. I definitely put Hanifin number 1, which got you to raise your eyebrows, and then I'm pretty sure I said Howden also.
Yeah, I think
I'll go back and check the tape. I won't because I don't care that much. But I definitely said Hanifin. I'm about 40% sure. Yeah, roll tape. I'm about 48.7% sure that I said Howden as well.
We appreciate everyone tuning in, and of course, if it warrants, and there is a big deal, we will, again, spring into, I like saying the word spring because it's just about here. We will spring into
everyone's saying Marchand to Vegas. Like, that's all my timeline is Marchand to Vegas. I said 11:50. Someone said give a crazy prediction. I said 11:58 this morning. Brad Marchand to Vegas gets announced. I said that last week.
Okay, that could very well happen. Well, they need some content for that show that State Run does. So they're going to have to make another deal. We appreciate everyone tuning in, especially our everydayers. And again, if it warrants, we'll be back over the weekend and we'll be bringing you more of this stuff. For my man, Chris Golick, I am Tony Cardasco from Las Vegas. We appreciate you tuning in, and we'll see you again here perhaps over the weekend, if not on Monday, right here on Locked On Golden Knights. And please take care.